All right, today we're going to go through the answers to your review packet so you can get a head start before you come in tomorrow, or you can study for the test the night before. Okay, so I'm going to start page by page. Okay, so this first one and 2 come from page 1. And when you read a problem like this, it says find the value of the following. And then at the very end, it says leave your answers in fraction form, which really just means you need to set up your ratios and no solving is required. So for this first one, I go to angle A and see sine of A, and I would quickly just label my sides opposite. Remember, hypotenuse is always across from 90 degrees, and then here's our adjacent side. Okay, so then if you think sine, okay, so SOHCAHTOA. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so my opposite side is A, my hypotenuse is B, so the ratio is A over B. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so that's going to be C over B. And tangent is opposite over adjacent, so we're going to get A over B. Okay, and this next one is very similar, except now we have numbers. And notice that we're missing this hypotenuse here. So we're going to have to do 6 squared plus 8 squared equals C squared to solve for my hypotenuse. Or if you remember, that's a triple, we're actually going to get 10. So when I solve that, I get C equals 10. So my hypotenuse is 10, and again, it may be beneficial to label your sides. Oops, we're looking at angle M, and I did not see that. Angle M, this would be my opposite, and this would be my adjacent. Okay, so when I look at angle M, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so I have 8 over 10, and that simplifies to 4/5. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, that's 6 over 10. That simplifies to 3/5. And tangent is opposite over adjacent, that's 8 over 6, and that simplifies to 4/3. So these first couple here should be pretty basic, just setting up the ratio. And I would even go as far as to say 3 through 6 is basic. That's using your calculator. Okay, and that's just to get you to understand that if I type sine in my calculator, oops, let's check to make sure our mode is in degree, and it's not. Okay, so when I type sine in, when I put something in for the sine function, I have to put a degree in. And so it looks like I have sine of 29, and that is 0.4848. And what that tells us is that's the ratio of the opposite and hypotenuse for every triangle that has this angle of 29 degrees. Right, so then same thing for cosine. I get 0.6691. And it's always good to bring those out to at least 4 decimals so we don't run into any rounding issues. And then I look at number 4 or 5, and it tells me sine of A equals 0.9397. And so you should be thinking, I don't have a degree. So to undo the sine, I need to use the inverse. So I go second sine inverse, 0.9397. And I find out that it's 70 degrees. So what that means is the ratio was 9.9397, and that corresponds to a 70-degree angle. And the same thing for cosine. The ratio of my adjacent over hypotenuse is 0.2588. I'm trying to find the angle, so I need to use the inverse. So I cosine inverse, and I end up with 75 degrees. Okay. Right, moving on to number 7 and 8. I can get that. Right, these ones you need to find the value for each of the following. So I'm still using SOHCAHTOA because I have a right triangle here and a right triangle here. All right, so for number 7, I would identify my sides. So we're trying to find angle X. There's the opposite. There's the hypotenuse, and this is the adjacent. So the two things I have are the hypotenuse and the adjacent. So when I look at SOHCAHTOA, I'm looking at cosine. So what I'm going to set up is cosine of X equals the adjacent, which is 15, over the hypotenuse, which is 20. And many of you may think, oh, I need to cross multiply. Well, I'm already to cosine of X alone, and I need to solve that somehow. Well, here's my variable. It's in the cosine, so how do I undo cosine? Well, that means X is going to equal cosine inverse of 15 over 20. So I need to cosine inverse the both sides. And when I go to my calculator, cosine inverse, oops, not 200. 15 divided 20 is 41.4. So my angle, x, is equal to 41.4 degrees. Right, and let's look at the second one. Again, we're still using SOHCAHTOA because I have a right triangle. That's the key thing. Okay, identify your sides. So across from the 65-degree angle is the opposite, and this is the hypotenuse. So I should be using sine now. So I have sine of 65 equals v over 25, and this is when I can cross multiply because sine of 65 is just a number. So I get v equals 25 times the sine of 65, and I can just type that all into my calculator to get v. And I get 22.66, let's say. And it's centimeters. And now always check back. Does it make sense that that side's a little bit smaller than your hypotenuse of 25? And yeah, it does, because the hypotenuse is always the biggest side.